GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Hey everybody, this is Lauren Marie Taylor from Friday the 13th, Part 2, wishing you a happy Halloween. You are listening to the All Bets Are Off podcast with my man crush, Robbie Vegas.
What's up, rock soldiers? This is the rockstar Robbie Vegas with a fresh, brand new episode of the All Bets Are Off podcast, and we are kicking off spooky season with Deborah Voorhees. And I'm not talking about Jason's mother. I'm talking about Deborah Voorhees from Part 5 of Friday the 13th. Yes, it is funny that she does have that last name and ended up as part of the franchise, but there's a lot of cool things that you may not know about Deborah, and we're going to jump into them, and I will let her explain all of them to you. But before I do, my first sponsor of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by DB. DB, as you know from the last few weeks, is a Scandinavian brand that makes backpacks and bags to help people on the move stay ready for anything. From the streets to the peaks, DB's gear is travel tested by some of the world's best athletes, adventurers, and creators. Over the past decade, DB has designed and developed, released, and refined the best bags in the market. With DB's patented hookup system, you're able to attach smaller products to your backpack, roller, or tote. And this is a huge deal for all of our travel-tested listeners out there, so I hope you guys know as we keep pounding it into your brains week after week that you need these DB bags. So we are teaming up with DB to exclusively offer our listeners 10% off your next purchase by using the code POD10 or going to the link in our show notes. DB, it's time to move on, time to get going. And speaking of time to move on, I also want to tell you guys about Fitness for the Misfits. That's right, Death Comes Lifting is also a sponsor of the show week after week, and we need you guys to check them out. Become a member of the Lifting Dead Army at deathcomeslifting.com. Join their Patreon, and they got a lot of cool things going on right now, guys. Aside from merch, if you're looking to get back in shape, these are the people that are going to help you out, and they're going to do it with a little horror, a little heavy metal, a little punk rock, and we support that, and we also support getting this interview going. So let's get Deborah on the phone. Today's episode is brought to you by Anguished Allure magazine. Anguished Allure was founded in Buffalo and celebrates Halloween all year long. Anguished Allure magazine features gothic and horror-themed businesses, artists, and photographers. If you'd like to buy a copy and support them, or submit your own artwork or products, please reach out to them at anguishedalluremagazine.com. So one more time, that's anguishedalluremagazine.com. So please check them out. Support our sponsor, and they're more than a sponsor. We absolutely adore this magazine, and we know that you will too. I'm excited to have you on. This is going to be fun. So, Deborah, the first thing I want to do is just thank you for being here on the All Bets Are Off podcast.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
Well, I kind of want to start back when you were just little, Deborah, and were you always interested in acting?
You know, for the longest time, I was thinking my interest in acting came really about 18, but my mother had some old papers of mine from 3rd grade, and one of them said that I wanted to be an actress and a writer. So apparently it was long before 18.
That's excellent. So do you remember growing up now, since you ended up in the Friday the 13th franchise, did you always enjoy like spooky and horror kind of movies, TV shows, or cartoons or anything?
Yeah, the kind of things that I really liked when I was a kid that were spooky related. Now, granted, this isn't spooky by our standards today, but, you know, when you're 6, 5 and 6 years old, Dark Shadows was a scary one. And I used to love that show. And I love the Universal monster movies.
Oh, yeah.
Frankenstein and that sort of thing. So I was kind of, when I was a kid, I was like the really scary horror stuff.
Okay,
that came later. Now, I think I was 12 when The Exorcist came out. That one, I went by myself, and I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. I just scared the crap out of me. Haven't seen it again, and I still do not want to watch a scary movie alone. I know I want somebody right here with me watching the scary movie. The only exception is if it's daylight and I make sure there's light coming in the room and I watch a scary movie that way. But I love the movies. I love scary movies. I love like the Conjuring series, Insidious. I love ghost stories. To me, the ghost stories, like pretend monsters that can't possibly be real, they don't scare me. Like, I never watched Frankenstein and was worried Frankenstein was going to break into my house, you know? And understood it was a fictional character, right? But a ghost proved to me it's not in this room. I don't know. It could be. Oh, you know what happened to me the other day? This is so funny. I'm sitting there watching a ghost story, right?
Yep.
My dog looks to the corner of the room, upward. So her eyes are up, like looking at a human, and she starts growling, and there's nothing there. And I'm like, this is really, really, really bad timing for this.
You invited it in by watching the ghost story on TV. That's what
watching the scary movie. I thought it was quite funny. I'm sure it was something entirely different but for that moment, it sure made me go, ah.
Well, it's funny that
those are the ones that scare me the most, are the ghost story.
I totally agree. I think that, like you said, The Exorcist and hauntings and things like that are really like under your skin, like freak you out, like breath on the back of your neck kind of feelings, you know? But like slashers are more like, let's have fun with this. And,
right, it is more fun, yeah.
And I don't know, it's just, there's something about just, you know, obviously the Friday the 13th franchise being, in my opinion, the most popular slasher. It's, you don't watch them to like really get scared. You're going to get some jump scares in there where you're just like, oh, unexpected moment. But for the most part, you're just going to have fun with it, and you're going to know, you know, it's just a movie. We're just going to have some fun.
Right.
So,
it reminds me of the old style Saturday matinees that you went to. And it just was kind of escapism. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think most people would agree with you that Friday the 13th is the most popular slasher. Why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think it's because Jason reinvented himself a lot in those. Like, you take the first one, Jason's mother's the killer, not Jason. Then in the second one, you got the sackhead Jason. And then in the fifth one, technically it's not even Jason. It's somebody dressed up like Jason. And then he comes back to life in the sixth one. And it's just very creative the way that they found ways to keep it going. And he does end up becoming kind of supernatural in the later movies, but it keeps the fans wanting more. And your character specifically is one of the more popular characters in the series, and we've interviewed a lot of people from the Friday the 13th series, and yours is one of the more popular ones because you have such a memorable kill scene. And I think that, I mean, to kick it back to you, do you find your character more popular now than when you made the movie? Because, I mean, Friday the 13th as a whole is more popular today than it was in the 80s.
It's a really good question. I wish I knew the answer to it. I can say that I feel really lucky because I really didn't know that there was any kind of controversy about Part 5 until much later because I never experienced it from fans. I always have had very positive reactions. And so I just don't know. The internet makes it easier to kind of track and understand, you know, how much you're known. But back when, you know, the only way anybody got a photo to me would be to sit down and write a letter and put a stamp on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's so old school now, but that's how it used to happen, right? So I don't know if it is or not, but I do consider myself to be very blessed for that role to have been so loved.
Yeah, and it did get a bad rap a little bit, not your role, but Part 5 because it wasn't Jason. But I feel like in later years, as it's got a bigger cult following because it is kind of one of the more underrated films of the series, because when you go back and watch it, it has a lot of memorable moments and a lot of memorable kill scenes. And, you know, if that's what you're watching those movies for, there's nothing wrong with this movie at all.
Right. So. I agree with you. And also, the one thing that I will point out to people, it's like, it's actually more true to the original than the others, because it is about a bereaved parent going psycho on people who really had nothing to do with their child's death.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Now, do you remember what the audition was like for that role in Friday the 13th?
I do. It was pretty intense because it was basically a cattle call. It was myself, and I have no idea how many people. I just know a very long line, and we were filing past a table with people in it, and you're saying hello, you give your photo, and you have your bio and stuff on the back, and you just kind of keep going through. Mm-hmm. And I read once then, because of so many people there, didn't, have any idea if I would even get a call back, because there's so many people there. Mm-hmm. Then the second, that one time I read it seems like it was only the casting director. Then the casting director brought me in to the director, and that was Danny Steinman. And he basically let me know immediately that he loved what I did, and that it's what he wanted, and he wanted to go with me, and he wanted to introduce me to the producer. So I came in a third time to read with the producer. The biggest thing that Danny liked the most was that I was flirting with my boyfriend, as opposed to being angry. He said every other actress read it as if they were angry. Hmm. And I was like, well, no. I mean, yes, she uses the word fuck you, but she's with her boyfriend whom she loves.
Right.
So, and he's asking her to go and have sex in the woods. I mean, well, of course you want to go and have sex in the woods. That's the guy you love, so that's not a complicated question for me. Now, could he have directed another woman to have those same instructions? Sure, I think he could. They want you coming in and perform it as they want it from the beginning. Right or wrong, it's, it's just how it is for much of the time. And so, so then I got the part.
So did you, going into it, were you already a fan of the series? Because this is part 5, and 1 through 4 were hugely successful. So you had to have already been walking.
I had seen the first one.
Okay.
But I hadn't seen the other ones at that time. Now I've seen them.
Yeah.
But initially I had seen the first one. But when I first went in, it wasn't, I wasn't told initially that it was a Friday the 13th movie. I want to say, some people I know, like Ron Sloan said, he learned it was a Friday the 13th movie when he was on set and he saw the Jason hockey mask.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, none of us knew the twist at the end. So, but when I go back and I think about it, I'm fairly certain I knew by the third interview or the third audition, because I wasn't surprised on set. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was probably the one that I learned it from.
Now, you were already acting at this point because you had a recurring role on Dallas starting in, 1982? And
right.
You started filming Friday the 13th, I'm assuming, in 83, 84?
Actually, I really think it was probably 85. So it was a pretty quick turnaround.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I'm sure it was, because I was 24, and I was 24 in 85.
Okay. So with you having that experience, now you had done TV and you had a role in Innocent Prey in 1984. Was that now? Was that movie your first film, or was it TV up to then?
The very first one I did was called Voyeurs.
Oh, okay.
That was with PJ Souls, and I can't remember off the top of my head the man's name. And actually, you know what? They changed the title. They changed it to Innocent Prey. And what I was playing a very young hooker who goes unknowingly with a serial killer. Mm-hmm. And his wife was PJ Souls. And she looks into the bathroom hotel window. And this is when she realizes for 100% certainty that her husband is the serial killer. Mm-hmm. She's stalking, trying to figure out what's going on. And he sees she sees him slit my throat.
And it's funny you brought her up. I had just recently met her, and she's such a great person. But I didn't even realize that was you and her in that movie. That's really cool. I'm going to have to go back and check that out now.
Right.
Now, you also produce and direct, right?
I do.
So how long have you been doing that?
I've been working in this area for about 10 years. Right now, the most important film I have coming out is 13 Fanboy. It comes out October 22nd. Going to be in select theaters around the U.S. as well and on about every VOD platform and pay-per-view platform out there. It is about a fanboy who has a deadly obsession for his favorite actors, Friday the 13th and also Dee Wallace from Halloween. So, and we have two of the Jasons there, two of the favorites, C.J. Graham, clearly one of the favorites from Sex, and we have Kane Hodder, 4 Jasons, and definitely a crowd favorite.
That's fantastic. I had C.J. Graham on the show, and he did tell us about that, and I couldn't wait to ask you about that. So now, when are we expecting the release of this now?
October 22nd.
Okay, that's coming up soon. So
very soon, thank goodness. We've been slowed down by about a year with COVID.
Oh, yeah. That didn't even register to me. That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
we would have been out sooner. But, you know, for whatever reason, this is our timing, and so there may be a good reason it'll be better this way.
yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to it since I talked to CJ about it, and I believe when I had him on, I think you guys were either just wrapping or somewhere in that area, because I remember him saying that it was new.
Could be.
But, he's a great guy, and he's an amazing Jason. And,
I know.
Of course, Kane
He's
Hodder.
just a mountain of a man. He's so huge.
He is. It's kind of...
You get a neck cramp looking up at him.
Well, speaking of all these different Jasons, when you were on set of Part 5, did you find it hard to... maybe not hard, but to get in that moment of being so scared, because you look like you're having a good time, you're making this movie, you're
Right.
24 years old, but when it comes time for Jason to kill you and your boyfriend, were you actually feeling fear? Did he do that good of a job, or did you have to really click into that?
Yeah, okay, with Friday the 13th, it's a little bit different. In 13 Fanboy, I did really have to muster up a lot of fear. With this one, it's so fast. You get the immediate scream, but there's no real time to give a complete, full reaction to it.
Yeah.
I did in this scene, because it was a difficult scene, because this is my nude scene, and I'm nude and blind in it.
Right.
You know, by the time they turn you over, not right when the scream comes, obviously, but I still am nude. And, you know, they had a stand-in over me, just that I would have a line of sight. But instead of having somebody like giving me a growl and giving me something to work with, he's just smiling at me. You could tell that he was very, very happy to be where he was.
All right. Yeah, so that would take it out of the moment for you.
Right.
Yeah.
But as an actor, what I basically did was I went in and I shut the world out around me. I just put this kind of a cocoon around me. Everything out here has to go away. Because if I'm aware of this out here, it's going to show on my face. And, you know, that is always that moment when you're watching a film and you're going, I don't believe that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I disappear. And I did the same thing with 13 Fanboy. I disappeared for that period of time. And it was particularly difficult because I was also directing.
Right.
One of the things that I did in this is I talked in great detail with my DP about what to shoot and what to do. Well, I'm still having to call cut and that sort of thing. But I just would let it run long and then call for a cut and then get up. But I didn't go and look at the scene. And that's because I didn't want to get out of my acting brain into an analytical brain of a director. And I felt like that could really cause me a problem as an actress. And so, yeah, it was pretty interesting. And have you said you spoke with Vincent, right? Or did you interview Vincent or not?
No, I did not.
Vincent DeSante did our stunt work for us.
Okay.
And he's an extremely talented stuntman. obviously C.J. Graham and Kane Hodder did their stunts, but Vincent did the other ones. And so there was a few points where he had to kind of throw me around. Mm-hmm. And he was very good at it in that he kept it very controlled, yet looking and feeling violent. Mm-hmm. So I was extremely impressed in how well he kept me safe, but appearing to be very violent.
That's got to be a tricky thing, too. So for that to happen, and you to be the director, too, now you're going to screw up an actress and a director if you slip up? Like,
right? I know, exactly. No, I had all those same thoughts, my dear. Thanks for flooding those right back to me.
Yeah. But it worked out. You're sitting here right now, and you're okay. So
it did. And I'm happy with the final performance in it, so...
I can't wait to see it. Your role in Friday the 13th has extended beyond acting because you're doing appearances for like horror conventions and things like that.
Right.
And do you ever have people come up to you who bring you like stuff from like Dallas or Appointment with Fear or Riptide or anything?
Occasionally, but mostly it is Friday the 13th. This last time I was there, a guy brought up, I was in Avenging Angels too. Mm-hmm. And so he brought an Avenging Angel, he brought Friday the 13th, and he brought me Innocent Prey.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And for Riptide and Dallas, now those I haven't had people sign me for. Mm-hmm. But the Riptide one I particularly enjoyed because it was comedy.
Yeah, right. Now, I don't know if this is something that is like released or I've never heard of it until I was doing a little research before I got you on the line here, but there's a fan film anthology called Never Hike Alone.
Yes, that's DeSantis.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I met him. I saw the film, and I thought it was extremely well done. Everything about it was total pro. And he actually is a professional in the film industry. He just happens to be a huge horror geek, especially Friday the 13th.
Of course.
So I watched that. And his lead in that, Andrew Laity, I immediately realized he had some serious acting chops and, he's incredibly handsome. So we need eye candy for the girls too, or guys who go that direction. And so we're looking at more than 50% of the population is going to incredibly enjoy a look of a handsome man. And so they were some of my two first hires. I hired Vincent on to be a stuntman and Andrew to play my lead, who is in the story, it's my granddaughter, Kelsey Voorhees.
Okay.
And she, we have her as a young girl and older in the film. And yeah, and I'm so glad I did. I ended up also writing Vincent as part within the film as well. But he's very talented, works very well, and he's very good at keeping people safe. So, like, for instance, we had in our Indiegogo campaign video, and we used some of the footage in the film, we had a drowning. I had brought Haley Greenbauer, who plays my granddaughter, who is Kelsey Voorhees, just so the names don't get confused. I brought her in to play a role in it, and I basically brought in people that I was considering for the lead. And, she just ended up being perfect for it because she needed to be kind of this badass martial arts competitor as well as an actress herself. And she's been a longtime actress. And the drowning scene with Vincent was really quite intense. He was really good about it because he would have her under the water. She wasn't able to hold her breath as long as he could. And so he would hold her down and she would just tap out when she needed to go up. And he would immediately push her up. He did many things that I was very impressed with.
Yeah.
Where he made things look rough when they weren't.
Including not hurting the director.
Yes, he did not hurt me. He actually did have bruising on my side. But that wasn't his fault. I said, no, you're going to need to hit me harder if it's going to look realistic enough, so go for it. And so he did one move, and it was clearly. He goes, "Oh, that's too hard." And it was. We got the right level that kept it looking realistic without seriously hurting me, other than a little bruise.
Well, you're really hyping this up, and I'm getting more excited to see it the more that you talk about it. So,
thank you.
I guess my next question is, what's next for you? Like, we know that that's releasing in October.
Right.
And you said the 22nd. And so what's next as far as, like, are there any more cons coming up? Are there any more films that you're going to be doing? Anything that you're writing right now that you can tell us about without spoiling?
Sure. I am working on a couple different things. One, if the film does really well, we will work on a part 2.
Oh, excellent.
So, but I'm also working right now on a ghost story. It's a true ghost story, and has some crazy twists and turns and some really wild circumstances that I think horror fans will really love.
Mm-hmm.
In October, I'll be in Los Angeles for the premiere. I'll have the details and everything for that before too terribly long, and I'll post them. Then I have, in November, I'm going to be doing the London premiere, and I've got 2 showings that also include an after party and autographs and stuff, and then I'm going to an event called The Dark Side, which is a convention, a small convention in London. They have a magazine called Dark Side Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very popular in England, and it's their baby. And they're going to show the trailer for 13 Fanboy and have me talk about it.
Oh, fantastic. That's going to be really cool. Well, why don't we have you plug your social media so everybody listening knows where they could follow you so they can get the updates for everything that's coming up?
Absolutely. There's a few places. On Facebook is the best place to catch me. I have a horror group called Deborah Voorhees Sheer Horror. And shears are spelled like the garden shears, since that's how I died, as opposed to like sheer horror, which you would expect, right?
Right.
And then there is also a page, it's just called 13 Fanboy page, and that's on there too. And anywhere there you can find it. I'm at my 5,000 for personal followers or personal friends, but you can still follow me because I have my page, my personal page, which is just Deborah Voorhees Public.
Awesome. And you are also on Twitter?
I am just learning how to do Twitter. I'm on Instagram, and that one I really don't know what I'm doing. Good at that one at all. But Twitter, I think I'm actually starting to understand it. So there is 13 Fanboy and me on Twitter. The thing is I don't know how I can put up a schedule there because you have so few characters.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to do. It's more for like linking it to something else, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find you on Instagram. I might already have you on there. I'm not sure, but if not, I will do that as soon as we're done here.
Okay. Oh, good. Maybe you can help direct me.
Yeah.
You do it on your phone. And I'm like, yeah, but I know how to use my computer so much better.
Right. Right.
Come on, give me a break here, okay?
Wait, I got you right there. Follow. There we go. Got your Instagram.
Thank you.
Live here on the podcast. Found you on Instagram. So that about wraps it up for me. I don't want to keep you too long, but I'm glad that you could plug 13 Fanboy and just be here and tell us a little bit about becoming... Essentially, you're one of the horror icons because you're part of Friday the 13th, and you are one of those really memorable characters. And we actually ran last Halloween. We did a countdown of what we felt the top Friday the 13th movies are, and we let our listeners choose what they thought, and Part 5 came up a lot. So, yeah, so you are our first person from Part 5 that we've had on the podcast. We've done 2 and 6. So you're the first Part 5.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Thank you. I really appreciate you including me.
Of course. I'm glad that you wanted to do it, and I will, of course, send you all the links when the show airs.
Perfect. And I'll share them.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you being here, and honestly, if there's ever anything coming up, like you mentioned your other movie, The Ghost Story and all that stuff,
right,
send it to me, and we'll plug it on the show.
Fantastic. Sounds great.
All right, rockers. So once again, that was Deborah Voorhees. Super pumped to have her on. First person from part 5 that we've had. We've had a lot from 2. We've had a couple from part 6. So really cool, and I'm really looking forward to 13 Fanboy. So October 22nd, you could check that out. CJ Graham told us about it when he was on the show, and we're really looking forward to that as a whole. So make sure you check that out, and whenever her next release comes out after that, we will be promoting it, and we'll make sure we partner up with her and get that information to you guys where you could check that out as well. So go back, watch part 5, check it out, wait for 13 Fanboy, and let us know what you thought. ABAO pod across the board. We will catch you next week.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.